Well, we're back down here this morning and it has rained a lot. We didn't come here yesterday because I knew it rained, and it is way wetter than I was expecting. I was planning on hauling all that mud from over there to over here this morning, but I don't know if that's going to be the case now. It's pretty soggy. So we may get a game plan and go over there and cut that clay out and add it to the top of the dam. We can do majority of that with the excavator and the dozer, so that might be the plan for this morning. Give this a little bit more time to dry and then see if maybe after lunch we can work on this right here. Just don't really know what all we can do until we get started and see what we can and can't do, but at least all that clay is right there ready. I just need to cut a 1/4 inch in and I can lay that up there with the excavator. I do see a lot of water down there by it, so got a little deep over there. There's a big glare from the sun, but I don't think this pond's going to have much trouble staying full. Once it fills up, just look at how much water is leaking out of the bank and the hillside here. I mean, that was completely dry the other day and now it's just saturated. Joy, more mud. Well, I'm gonna go over here and dig down and find that 1/4 inch, run it back, and that dirt will be relatively dry. We'll see if we can't get that section of pond dam built today, and we'll just see whatever we can do afterwards. Well, it is a sure enough mess over here. Had our dirt stacked up higher because it was not supposed to rain like this, and this had nowhere to drain to, so it just ponded up to a giant mud hole right here. So now I got to deal with getting all this pushed out so we don't create more mud. As you can tell with the clay content, I don't think we're going to have to worry about this thing leaking. This has been some absolute nasty stuff to deal with, and I'm kind of glad I got pushed off till this summer to do this job, because I originally was supposed to do it early this spring, but with it being so wet, I got delayed on some other projects. I guess it kind of worked out for the best. This would be a nightmare of a job to try to do in the winter time. When it's cold and wet, nothing drains or dries. Pushing this out and then kind of rake over the area we're going to work today and scratch all this mud up, throw it over here to the side, let it dry out this week while we go do other things. This right here is a mess. Stripping some more topsoil out the pond. It is just too wet to use the truck, so we're doing the old-fashioned bale it with the excavator and push it with the dozer. Get what we can moved over here and open up a little bit more of a cut. Move a little bit more clay there. Do what we can. That section is looking pretty good though. I'm happy with that. Trench dug through here just to make sure we've got through all the topsoil and everything, and down to dry dirt. I'm happy with that. So you can see there's just a little bit of layer of topsoil left, so this just ensures that you get through that and it doesn't leave a seam for anything to leak through. This is some beautiful clay, so doesn't require a whole lot. Robert's down there trying to get that ditch to drain out. I'm telling you, that said it only got a little under 1.5 inches, but man, wet is like it rained 3 inches. Those are the factors that factor into play when doing jobs like this, is you never know what the weather's going to be. That's why we worked so hard last week to get as much as we possibly could done. Somebody found me. Truck trying to figure out, we didn't get all the stone hauled on Jeff's project, so I had to send another truck up there to haul that for him. We're doing that this morning and want to make sure they were dumping in the right spot. But anyways, this is going pretty smoothly here now. Hopefully we dig through that over there, and once I mix all that dirt together, it should be relatively dry and manageable. Somebody asked a question in one of the comments, does this thing have a backup camera? Yes, it's got 2 of them right there, but it's hard to see that little orange flag in that monitor right there, so I always just spin around and kind of make sure I'm lined up with where I'm going, and all that's going to work out. It's not like I'm just I can look back there and see if there's nothing behind me I want to back into, but trying to line up with a little orange flag, it's easier just to spin the machine around, make sure you're on track. fill in the core trench now, so let's dig some of this gooey clay and stick it in there. Dump it right there, and just gonna run down there with the dozer, push it in place, run over with the compactor. That ought to be exciting. I'm sure the drum will just pack full of it. But pack it in there the best we can. Run another lift over top of that. Right here, and then I'll go down there and lay that section over there back. Still some pretty decent material in that. Lay that back while he rolls that in. How dry that stuff's going to be. It looks a little wet. Might end up spearing some of it out the bottom there once I dig this out. Really doesn't do me any good to dump mud up here. I am so glad Saturday we got a lot of that hauled out of there while the ground conditions were dry enough to be able to haul, because we wouldn't be able to do anything over there with the truck today. Absolute mess. I think that should be enough. Maybe one more. Go ahead and pack that in place. Continue on doing it again and again and again till we get up to grade. We have made it up out of the core trench now, building the first base layer of the dam here. Normally takes about 3 lifts to get it back up to grade to where it needs to go. We're only, I think at the highest point was like 3 feet above original ground level, so technically all we're doing is just building the freeboard of the dam on top of this ridge. The rest is just tying into the hillsides, which makes it a little bit more simple. Don't have to go too crazy. It's pretty much much all we're doing on this whole entire section is digging a hole. The dam was pretty much already in place. We're just adding 3 feet to it. Gumbo-y stuff for sure. Stuff to grate though. Just nothing but big hunks of dirt. Just kind of break them up, drag them in. Rolled in here in about 5 or 6 more scoops and start another one. Well, we're getting that section done right here. We're able to get that dug out. We're probably gonna go have a little bit early lunch, come back and maybe try to dig some out over there. I really don't want to cut all this off, and then I'm going to block my access when we have to finish cutting that material out. So plus we need to check grade because I feel like we're getting a little higher than water level right here, which isn't the end of the world. We can cut it down. It's a whole lot easier to trim it down than add to it. But this is some good material right here. I'm happy with it. Yeah, I feel like we're maybe about 8 or 10 inches high right here. I'll let him roll it in and I'll run down the front face there and slick that up. What did Kyle do? Oh, Jesus. Kyle also left his truck keys in the truck and had to drive all the way back down here after we got home, and he couldn't drive home. Poor Kyle. Guess the truck rocked all the sense out of him on Saturday. Anyways, I'm gonna walk back over here, get the excavator, and see that section of the pond dam. We've got, what, another 100 feet, 150 feet added to it. So on the home stretch now, it's got to end somewhere about, I don't know, I have to check it again, somewhere straight over there. So we got about another 150, 180 feet or so to go. We're going to attempt to haul out of this stuff over here to the field. So we'll just see how well this works. So I'm gonna go get the excavator and let him back down here. That's where we got stuck last time, so I'm hoping maybe he can come down right here, unload it into the truck, and haul it over there to the field. Well, I didn't even get a chance to start the video here. Ended up in a pickle with the 350 there. That the ground gave way. Next thing I know, I was, oh hell, I'm still in a pickle. Come on now. Have to do the one track walk out of here. Well, that got exciting. Why are we getting stuck on the hill? Well, that's a little ridiculous. Look at that. The whole ground just gave way. We know what that means. It's going to be an absolute pain in my butt to try to dredge all this now, because I highly doubt the ground's going to support the weight of the truck backing down. So I'm gonna skim out what I can. Might just have to go in there and lay this stuff out, lay it up the hill or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll get him to back down right here, I guess. See how long it'll hold the weight of the truck up. Robert sent me a picture of the counterweight. I've evidently smeared it in the mud somewhere trying to get out. Please make it up the hill. Alright. So far, so good on hauling if we get it to right there. Well, this is kind of where that spring is anyway, so we'll do the best we can with what we got to work with right here. Load it out. Might have to get in there, like I said, and transfer it back one more time so that I can reach it from dry ground. Well, I moved over here and so far the ground's holding up. I don't know how much longer though. It's starting to rut up right there, but we're going We'll try to get as much as we can out from right here, and if we have to let it dry some more, we will. That's where I started right there, and that's where I almost got stuck. This is where I'm at right now. Get what I can, then I can run out there and transfer that section back once I dig out a spot right here for it to lay in here. When we get this stuff piled up there, it'll give it a couple weeks to dry before we have time to spread it. Might go a little easier. But the good thing about it is, oh no, that's not the good thing about it. Oh jeez. Go ahead and wash it off while it's wet. It tends to flow off a little better. Well, the excavator is officially nice and muddy again. That big rain we got actually cleaned it up pretty good, and I just completely splattered mud all over it. What I was going to say was the good thing about this is it doesn't stick in the truck bed. But it just splatters all over your excavator windshield. Yeah, it's getting pumpy. Oh well, I'll go over there to the pond there before I leave and splash it off. The joys of working in mud. Let's see if I can get him to move over a little bit farther onto this harder ground. Going in. Hopefully we can get out. I'll lay this little peninsula back so that I can reach it from the shoreline. Hold up the dozer, we can get in here later on and blade this off. Right now I just want to get the bulk of this stuff over there and dumped out. Kind of define this edge right here. So that white pipe was an old irrigation pipe. It runs the whole length of this farm evidently. There's a big creek down there that they pump out of, or used to pump out of, so I didn't know that that ran through this ditch, so it got dug up, which they're probably never going to use it again, but I'm going to find out where it is right there. That way we can put something there and mark it, so if they ever want to tie back into it, set up a pump, they can do so right there. Just pump directly out of this pond. There's definitely a good spring right here. This is always a wet mud hole. Back right there, Robert, you'll get stuck. I gotta load that out because, as you can see, I am running out of room to pile it up. I'll do a quick grade check. That is the nice thing about the grade control on here. I can zero my point out. Let's come over here. We're shooting for at least 4 feet deep. We are at 6.9, so we have got good depth right here. So almost 7 feet deep right off the bank, so that will work for that. So we're kind of, while I'm down here, so I don't have to come back in here this deep, break this out. So when I spin around and try to pull myself out of here. Alright, there's Robert's big old snake right there. Let's see if I can pick it up for him. Come here, little buddy. I got him for him. I'm gonna go dump it on the truck of the cab of the truck for him. I might have to dump them out of the bucket so I can get out of this mud hole. Oh God. Let's not get a 350 stuck. Alright, snake, go over here. Be free. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Whose idea was it to put a 85,000 pound machine in a mud hole? Mine! I think we buried the snake. I don't know what kind of snake that is. I think it's just a water snake. Oh well. Well, we might be able to get 2 or 3 more out before this ground gives way. Easy there, Robert. Coming in hot. We've moved a fair amount. There's still a whole lot more to move, but I'm hoping by digging all this out, it'll kind of dry that bank out a little bit and hopefully make it a little bit easier when we come back to haul the rest of this stuff. If not, I'm just going to have to keep bailing it up the hill and loading it out higher up. But trying to avoid that because it just takes more time and costs more money on my part. But kind of regret not hauling this stuff Saturday when it was nice and dry, but we were able to get a lot done over there, and I think that was very important to work over there as well. So it's kind of a crapshoot, but hey, we're getting some mud moved regardless. Too many more times. It's hard to believe there's that much groundwater coming out of that hillside, but there is. Just shows you that it's all this sandy topsoil and then a layer of that gumbo-y clay, and the water just doesn't go through it. Therefore, it just sits right there and saturates it. Get a couple more out, I'll lay that back, let him jump on the dozer and do whatever he can do with that, finish out the day. That's going to be a wrap for hauling for today. Was able to get all that section out right there. I had to take that last little bit and pile it up right here. This is just going to sit here and dry some. It's gotten so wet that the truck's just rutting it all up. So let it sit. Maybe having all this cut out will allow that moisture to kind of soak through the ground there and dry out. Not, we're just going to have to keep moving up the hill a little bit farther. So I'll let him run over this with the dozer a little bit before we leave. I'm gonna go over here and try to pull that bank back and straighten that mess up just a little bit. So making some progress, a little slow but steady over here, but pretty much get that section out to that cove, and I think the rest of that we're going to have to haul that back there because there's absolutely no way I can get a truck through that ditch right there. So that's how much mud we were able to haul over here after lunch. So fair amount. He's over here pushing it with the dozer, blading that old stuff down. I'm actually going to go up there with the excavator for what it's worth where I can and rake it down, just so if we do get more rain, maybe it won't pond up so bad in between all the piles there and stay draining. Put the rest of that mud right here when we come back. Well, that's going to be a wrap for today. Made pretty good progress. Ended up getting 58 loads of dirt moved between over there on the pond dam and hauling this mud. I just went out here with the excavator and raked all that down. We can finish filling everything in from pretty much that cotton back over to right in here with what's left. That should get rid of that. And I don't know how long that's going to take to dry where they can drive a tractor on it, but at least the dirt is there and it'll dry out later this year. So I'm going to pull this thing over there and fill it up with fuel. We'll hook back to the trailer and get out of here. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be a couple weeks before we get back down here. We're going on a little trip, and we have a couple of little projects we got to knock out that we've already got commitments to. So pretty much got this where we can leave it and let it dry out some, hopefully.